see what I cut on stream. does mean Julian and Friedrich both are losing points today, as they will not be here to compete, which does mean the championship fight is back on. I talked about this a little bit last week with how the championship fight went, and the fact that Nico didn't show up to a race wasn't detrimental to the championship, just because it was scheduled that Julian and Friedrich unfortunately aren't going to be able to join us today. They should be here for the rest of the season, I hope. Julian is, of course, defending his past title, as we see Nico sliding out of turn 3 and down into 4. 4 is quite a tricky braking zone. I think we're going to see most overtakes here through turn 4, just given it's after one of the heaviest traction zones on track. It's one of the more difficult corners on track. You can brake really, really late, squeeze to the inside, squeeze to the outside. Plenty of opportunities through that corner. And drivers will be doing their best to make it all work. Right now we're just watching Nico do a lap. We did see a 27.6, I believe, in free practice. So Nico easily with the fastest time of the day. We'll see if it stays that way or if someone can beat that lap during the qualifying session. Of course, it's not always so simple, especially here at Red Bull Ring, where it's so easy to invalidate the lap, so easy to just go a little bit wide into a corner. And not only will that lose you the lap, but it loses you a bunch of time overall on the circuit. You don't want to be spending time doing a lap that doesn't count for anything. So drivers will be setting some nice safe laps. Fastest car right now on the track is actually the Bluey Ferrari of Sarabin, followed closely by Arct and then Robert. Nico's lap was invalidated that time, so he will not set a provisional time just yet. It will be just him racing against the clock. For now. A little tired this morning. It is early for me, and I don't think I got the best of sleep. We should see some nice clear weather here today for Red Bull Ring. Sunny skies looming ahead, and not a whole lot of issue. Of course, we do have some weather down the line. That weather will, of course, as Nico sets our first 27 of the day, 27.8. That will likely be some tall competition for the other cars to beat. Sarabin goes through the final sector just now, will improve on their lap, and not going to be enough to take over Nico's position, but it will be enough to put them just a little bit farther forward. Arc just behind started his lap. He has not improved. No, his last lap was an improvement, but it was not enough to take the lap time away from Sarabin. He needs to improve by 0.5 of a second if he wants to take it away from the Bluey Ferrari. So, good chance there that he is not quite close enough yet. It's always possible. You can push hard. Red Bull Ring is one of those tracks where you can gain a lot of time pretty easily. Robert goes P3 with a 128.5. That is only a tenth and a bit behind Sarabin, so Sarabin will be under pressure now to get a better lap in, bridge that gap just a little bit, and get a safe window, especially with Robert already going a tenth up. Patrick on P5 on big improvement. Will be enough to put him up several positions if he's able to get this lap in. That's a shame. Yeah, that's a long time to be gone. 27.5 from Nico is the best lap of the session, and he's already improving as he goes through turn 1, so we'll just keep a little bit of an eye on that, see what's going on, as Robert goes from up on his lap significantly to down on his lap. So I think he made a mistake there, might have braked a little bit too late. Patrick did improve on his lap, but it is not enough to set him up a position just yet. Car behind is Coco with a 29.4. We'll see these lap times improve as the session goes on. Lap time to beat is still at 27.5 set by Nico, and I think well, I think judging by the gaps right now, he's pretty safe. There is a good shot that Nico just runs away with the pole position today. Nico, of course, is fighting for the championship. He's proven himself a very, very quick driver in the past here in Phoenix Simsport, and today seems to be no exception. Nico, of course, was the winner of the, was it 6 hours of Barcelona, or was it 4 hours? I think it was 6 hours of Barcelona. Near perfect endurance race. Wonderful job from Nico to win it. To hardly put a tire in the wrong place, so very impressive drive from him, and we're seeing an equally impressive drive already through just the qualifying session. 4 hours of Barcelona, okay. What was our 6-hour race? Was it Monza? No, it was 4 hours of Monza, 6 hours of Barcelona, right? Yeah, we'll find out. Actually, I could probably go look. I'll look in between sessions while we're in the a little bit of a less exciting stage of the race. Actually, even easier. What endurance race did Nico win? There we go. I'm just going to message message you, Zubik. I thought it was 6 hours. I thought you were running 6 hours solo for that race. It's been a while. To me, 6 hours, 4 hours, round about the 6 to 4 hour mark is the perfect amount of time for a solo endurance race. As Patrick pits, so that just leaves Elijah as the next driver on improvement. Yeah, in my opinion, I think 4 to 6 hours is the perfect amount of time for a solo endurance race. Anything more than 6 hours, it starts to get less fun, more I shouldn't say boring, it gets taxing. There's only so much driving you can do before you're overdoing it. As Ferrari, very, very slippery through turn 1, and that's going to be Elijah into the barrier, returning to the pit lane. The RSR Ferrari making their first showing. Of RSR, of course, a new version of the Rocket Stallions. Or of the Italian Stallions, technically. Italian Stallions, of course, as a big slide from the Ferrari driver and just gets collected by the Ford. Couldn't really do anything about that. The Ford was too close and just not able to react in time, even if he hits the brakes 100% there, which I think he did. That is the RSR Ferrari into the pit lane. Nico in the pit lane. The Bluey Ferrari in the pit lane. Arct is the only driver in the top 3 out of the pits right now, and he is not improving on his lap just yet. Yeah, it would be a shame not to be able to sim race. The wheel clamp cracked. Oh, that's unfortunate. You could always try. I suppose you could try to fix it some way. I know with my rig, I've been doing a lot of DIY, so it's sort of the mentality that I'm in when I am working on anything sim racing related. Honestly, I think DIY has been the the biggest joy of sim racing, or one of the biggest joys of sim racing. There's something very, very nice about just building for whatever reason. Whether that be building a rig, building a roof over the rig, button box, all sorts of things. I know there's a lot of drivers who, I shouldn't say a lot of drivers, but there are some drivers who learn to solder or just know how to solder and can make a lot of really cool stuff. No, I don't think you could have done anything there in the Ford. It's an unfortunate incident. Ferrari lost control and too close behind to react to it. Andrew in P3 on a 0-0, Arct in P4 on a 0-0, Robert in P5 on a 0-0, Patrick in P6 on a +2 invalidated. Ivanov in the pit lane, he is P7 now, so he has promoted himself up quite a few positions and dropped Coco back. Coco has descended down the order, hopefully going to be able to improve as they are 2/10 up right now. 2/10 up would put them into P7, so they are fighting with Ivanov right now. It is a proper battle for position. Arct does not manage to improve, and Andrew stays P3. Coco not improving on their lap just yet. That's the McLaren you see on your screen right now. In fact, they are slowing down on their lap. They're bridging a gap to the cars ahead, so that way they can get a nice clean track. Of course, you don't want to quali with a car directly in front of you. It ends up being far worse for you, far worse for them, and nobody is happy in that situation. As we go flying down the main straight, on board with the McLaren on the front splitter. Nice and late braking for turn one. Might have been a little bit too late as we missed the apex entirely, and that's going to be costly for lap time. You see 0-0. Turn one here at Red Bull Ring is very, very critical for lap time. Not an easy track. I have gotten confirmation from UZB. It was a 4-hour endurance race at Barcelona, so you are right, Nico. At this rate, you might as well join us in the commentary box to commentate the race, Nico. You're going to be P1 by so far a margin that you might actually see some other cars while they battle. Always the chance that Robert can gape up, though. Robert's only 5/10 back. 5/10, of course, is a big margin, but it's not the biggest of margins, and if Nico does make a mistake on that first lap, there's a good chance that some drivers can pass him. We've seen it before where a fast driver goes quickly through turn one and loses control of the car, or gets hit through turn one. Last time we raced Red Bull Ring, 2 championship contenders were taken out of contention with just a single incident, so it's possible. It is certainly possible. And no matter how quick you are, Red Bull Ring will start to eat up your tires. These curbs are sharper than they look, and they can give you mini punctures. It's not as much a threat on this track as it is on others, but there is still a chance to cut up your tires and potentially lose a lot of pressure. Big fan of the pit exit here at Red Bull Ring. It's really well designed. Exits to the right of the track. Make sure that you don't get interrupted when you are on a hot lap and people exit the pit lane. Yeah, tire wear here at Red Bull Ring is quite intense. You can easily eat through the tires, and if you're not careful, you get graining, blistering, or potentially even a flat spot if you really, really mess it up. Flat spotting, of course, probably the worst thing you can do in ACC. It's not only is it hard to do, but it is crazy impactful. I've gotten a flat spot in a race recently. The car has no grip. You feel like you're bouncing all the time, and the worst part about a flat spot is the spontaneous loss of grip. If you get unlucky and that flat spot on your tire is on the curb when you're on the throttle, you're gonna have a real bad time. Coco is improving on his lap, 0.1 up right now. He will need to improve by 0.1 in order to take away the position from Ivanov. Ivanov on improvement as well, so Ivanov trying to defend his position. It's 0.1 up still for the McLaren driver. 0.0, it might not be enough, and it's not going to be enough as he crosses the line. It's going to stay P9. Still 3 minutes left in qualifying, but he will return to the garage, and he will hopefully get another lap in a little bit. Not always the most enjoyable thing watching a bunch of drivers in the pit lane. Nico, why don't you go out and do a lap? You could do a 26, I'm sure. I would be monumentally impressed with any driver who manages to do a 26 at Red Bull Ring. The Bluey Ferrari, Serbin, has improved their position up to P2, and that is a closer gap than we were expecting. So this may actually be enough for Serbin to try and challenge for P1. That is the hope, at least. 0.1 up on the Delta right now, 0.2 as we go through turn 3. And 0.2 is not that far off. It needs 0.4 to improve, 0.5 to improve. Stewards will definitely investigate you for that, Nico. Best hope that we don't catch you doing that. Of course, eating pretzels and driving does violate the no salt while driving rule. Not allowed to have any salt or pretzel products. If you're driving the 24, of course. Yeah, 26 at Red Bull Ring is near enough esport pace. It is a very, very quick lap, very, very tricky because you have to essentially get every corner right. And it's Red Bull Ring. You're not going to get every corner right. Red Bull Ring is a very, very hard track to be consistent on. A very important track to be consistent on. You can see just how far the Ferrari goes outside the track, and that's going to be the end of Serbin's qualifying session. Final lap time of 1:27.9. Nico with a 1:27.52. Will anyone be able to beat that? Robert in P3 is not going to improve on his lap. He's P3 in the Audi car we haven't seen very much of this season, and we have seen a little bit of it. The manufacturer, of course, I think is dropping out of GT3 this year or next year, which is a real shame because Audi is one of the best GT3s. Prove me wrong. So it'd be a shame not to see any Audis on the track, but they do have their place in ACC. They'll have their place in AC Evo, no doubt. So I don't think we're going to see the Audis disappear anytime soon. Around the final corner, Andrew getting ready to start his lap. This will be his final attempt at a lap with 30 seconds left on the clock. Drivers who are not starting a lap anytime soon will not be able to start a lap at all. Kelly on a little bit of improvement, Ollie on improvement, Arced on improvement, but it's not by much. It's 0 seconds now for all 4 drivers. All 5 drivers on track on 0-0. All 6 drivers, all 7 drivers who are on a lap right now are not improving. Drivers returning to the pit lane, so drivers are giving up on their lap and not improving. Arced on a little bit of improvement, but it's not going to be enough. And the only other driver I saw a little bit of a time delta from was Kelly. 0-0 as he exits turn 3. Improvement for Chu, improvement for Flynn potentially. But really no improvement for any of the drivers right now. It's a real shame. It's a real shame. You'd expect the fastest laps to come in that final stage of qualifying, but right now we're not seeing that. And Kelly, 0.1 up. Rick in P22 is improving on his lap. We'll keep an eye on that to see if he goes across the line with improvement. Right now we are just watching Kelly because Rick is ahead of Kelly, so he will cross the line. We'll get to see whether or not he improves as the I believe that is the Ford going across the line. Not enough to improve on his lap time. Best lap was a 32.6. He needed to beat a 30.8. Kelly crosses the line. It's not going to be improvement for him. He will stay relegated. No, did he move up to P9? Ah, my screen seems to be bugging out. I think Kelly did just promote himself up into P9 because his last lap was a 28.935, his personal best, and it's just barely faster than Coco in P10. I did look away for a second there, so unfortunate, but Andrew going to be the last driver to cross the line with any sort of chance for improvement. He does need to improve by only 0.1 of a second in order to take away P3 and get himself a slot on the podium for qualifying. But it is not going to be a valid lap from him, and is going to be him spinning off the track and not improving on his lap time. We'll just show the relative gaps between the drivers are quite big, but it is not the worst that we have seen. 27.5 from Nico, the best lap time of the day, followed somewhat closely by the Bluey Ferrari in P2, the only other driver to hit a 27 today with a 27.980. So a good lap time from them. 4/10 is not a lot, especially at a track like Red Bull Ring, where it's so difficult to get those laps in. Robert in P3 with a 28.0, just shy of the 27 mark and not enough to take away Sarabin's lap. So Robert will stay in P3. Andrew starting in P4 with a 6/10 gap to Nico. Arced in P5, 8/10 of a second gap between him and the leader. 8/10, of course, not a huge amount of time. But it is quite a bit when you're talking about a lap as short as the Red Bull Ring. We are here, though, getting ready for the formation lap. We'll go through, I think, yeah, this is the camera for the liveries. We'll go through the liveries and just see, because there were a few that got updated. And Dirk has confirmed the Bluey Ferrari, the one you see in the background right there, P2 on the grid, does have a brand new livery. It's just a small revision to the past livery. It does look quite nice. I need to make sure I set up the settings for the race properly. There we go. So it's going to be Nico taking us for P1 of this race with a beautiful lap time in qualifying and a wonderful looking Ferrari on the grid. We'll see what he's able to do as we get ready for the formation lap. Drivers have a few minutes before the race actually starts where they will sit around, get their setups in order, get themselves refreshed, maybe get a drink of water, have a bite to eat, anything like that. I'm personally a big fan of having a little bite to eat. Does help you with getting energy going. It helps you keep that momentum strong after the qualifying session. Of course, Sarabin in P2 with the wonderful Bluey Ferrari. A great livery for that car. I like the red trim on the little vents there. A very nice little detail. Robert in P3 with a car we haven't seen on track before, but it is I believe an RPM. I think that is the team name. Wonderful looking Audi. Nice livery on the car. Simple and elegant. And I think that's the way I prefer the liveries. Simple liveries always look much nicer, but that is always that's always subjective. Andrew in P4 with just a default in-game livery. Good lap time from him. Unfortunate he was not able to improve on his lap and battle more with Robert, but he'll have plenty of opportunity to battle with Robert as we go down into turn 1, given he'll be side by side. It's not necessarily a bad thing to start in P4 as opposed to P3. Same with starting P2 opposed to P1. Generally, turn 1 tends to favor the inside line at the front of the field, outside line at the back of the field. Just because the outside line can keep moving quicker, there's more room for you to avoid. That inside line is a little bit treacherous. Arced in P5 with a livery we've seen plenty seasons before, and we will see it for yet another season, and another season we will always want to see it. Nice livery here for the BMW driver, and Just because it is used a lot doesn't mean it is bad. I like it. Patrick in P6, not a custom livery, just an in-game livery. Ollie in P7 with the beautiful looking 757 Motorsport Aston Martin, and that is a brand new livery on track. Very, very nice looking car. Ivanov in P8, livery we've seen time and time again, and I will always say I do very much like it. Kelly in P9 with the RSR Ferrari. I am personally biased towards this one as I did design the livery. RSR, of course, is the combination of Team Rocket and the Italian Stallions. Coco in P10 with the Espondon McLaren livery. Very nice. Always a pleasure to see on track. Drivers will get rolling for the formation lap. This means they will go a full little lap around the track. I did not have desktop audio unmuted. Go for a full lap around the track and then get ready to start the race. It will be a rolling start. ACC does not do standing starts, and we are in GT3s, which do rolling starts in real life anyways. Wonderful 757 Motorsport Porsche. Would be very interested to see what it looks like with a similar livery to the other 757 car on the track, the Aston Martin. So maybe they can be convinced to make a version of that. Melwin in P12, just a default in-game livery. Oster in P13, another in-game livery. Nice green colors, I like the choice there. Kiri in P14 with a Fox Hunt Porsche. Beautiful livery, always a pleasure to see on track, designed by the wonderful Thondir, who always does some beautiful graphics, and no exception here. Derg in P15 with the other Bluey Ferrari. Anthony in P16 with a beautiful livery, and well, that is a wonderful sight to see. That is quickly one of my favorites. I'm always a big fan of Porsche liveries, and this one looks really, really good. Rocking VGTR on the side of the car. Should change that out for Phoenix Sim Sport, but not required to, of course. Chu in P17 with a simple BMW livery. Nothing fancy, just nice and simple. McLaren in P18. This is Tudir with the AMD Ryzen livery. I believe I was there when they got this livery first set up. Just downloaded from Awesome Sim Racing. Awesome Sim Racing, of course, has some wonderful liveries, so even if you don't want to create your own livery, you are more than welcome to use an Awesome Sim Racing livery. There are some wonderful, wonderful designs up on there. Oliver in P20 with a Haas Aston Martin, beautiful looking car. Rick in P21, who already has a significant amount of damage to the front of the car, so I think they crashed on the formation lap already. Getting ready to start the race. I do believe drivers starting to slow down. Jonas in P22. Of course, P20 is the last points paying positions, so drivers will be fighting a little bit more intensely at the back of the field. We are getting ready to go green, so we will just speed through this. Webby in P23, and my game is frozen. My game is very frozen. Okay. Well, that happened. We are going green, 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 so I was not able to look at the other liveries because of that freeze. That was a little bit odd. We're going to go side by side for the Ferraris up at the front of the field. It's a big squeeze from Nico down into turn one. Just barely enough space left for the Bluey Ferrari of Sarabin. And that is going to be Sarabin that's going to be Nico followed by Sarabin, followed by Andrew. And a little bit of a contest here for Arct and the Aston Martin. Or not Aston Martin, the Audi. Arct will back out of the move, potentially backing out of the move into the McLaren behind, and that will give a little bit of pressure for the said McLaren. Sarabin making an attempt at a move on Andrew. No, Andrew making the move on Sarabin, so Sarabin just not getting the run out of turn 3. Will lose the position to the other Ferrari and potentially lose the position to Robert now, as lots of pressure for the Bluey Ferrari for Sarabin. as they go through turn 6. Turn 6, a big sweeping left-hander is the Audi. I thought there was for sure going to be a crash there. Very, very close between them, and it's a little bit of a scuffle here at the front of the field. It's not so smooth for the Ferrari driver, but it's certainly going to look good for the other two in P1 and P2. Sarabin goes flying through turn 9. A lot of pressure from the Audi behind, a little bit of that alleviated, as now the gap has opened up just a little bit. Arct in P5 has opened up the gap in front, but Patrick in P6 has closed in the gap to Arct in front. So it's a quite intense first lap of racing here for Red Bull Ring. And seems we're getting a brawl more than we're getting a battle. Side by side for Ivanov and Coco. Coco under threat here as Ivanov has that inside line for turn 3. Very, very late on the brakes for both of them, nearly going off the track, and it's going to be Oliver Flynn picking up the pieces and trying to make the move. I think Coco might, I think Ivanov might argue that Coco cut the track and kept a lasting advantage, held on to the position because of cutting the track. Whatever the case, it does not matter right now. Stewards will have to look at that after the race if a report is made. It's up to the drivers to report those incidents. Oliver Flynn got very, very close behind Ivanov, nearly made the overtake on exit with that poor launch. Derg moving up to P14 from his start, but I think he just dropped a position, so he'll be trying to push a little bit back forward. Very, very close between the drivers right now, but Flynn is the, or not Flynn, Ollie is the closest of them all right now. I hope I haven't been saying Flynn this whole time. I don't know why. I can't ever shake it. I see Oliver and I always think Oliver Flynn. It's like so ingrained in my mind that I can't get past it. Elijah with a huge run on the Fox Hunt Porsche. The late braking from the Ferrari driver will send them up into P12, but it's only temporary as Kiri gets back past and the Ferrari loses control. It's going to be a lot of cars passing by. Two Deer and Webby go side by side out of the exit of turn 1. It's going to be side by side through turn 3. Two Deer with the advantage going into turn 3, of course, with that inside line. Very, very heavy on the brakes from both of them. McLaren's Two Deer lifting off the brakes to get ahead, but is it going to be enough to get traction on exit? And it's going to be a threat from Webby. Going to have to defend to the inside, hold onto that line. Spinner making the overtake for P10 on Kelly. So Kelly losing that position. Two Deer on that inside line. Webby on the outside line. Is he going to be able to sweep around the outside and make the move? It's late braking from the pair of them, but it's later braking from Two Deer as Webby goes for the undercut, or for the switchback, rather. But it's not going to be enough for them to make the move. Kelly did just lose the position to Spinner, so he will be trying to get back in front of the Porsche driver. It's close between the pair of them. The Ferrari is quicker in a straight line. The Porsche is quicker in the corners. And it's a lot of threat for the Porsche driver right now as Kelly looks to the inside. It's going to be late braking from the Ferrari driver. It's going to be very late braking from the RSR driver. Side by side, holding that inside line. The Porsche is going to go off the track even to try and get a little bit of extra momentum. But it's going to be Kelly holding that position. And now Kelly's going to have to defend. He's going to have to defend, and he doesn't defend the inside. The inside's left open for the Porsche. But it's just not enough as they dive out of the slipstream. The drag from the car in front does not help in the slightest. The slipstream wasn't enough for them to slingshot, and now Spinner stuck in P11 is going to fight as hard as they can to take back P10, but it's going to be Kelly holding that position for now. The Porsche gets a good run up the hill, potentially a run out of turn 3 here. Late braking from the pair of them. It's going to be later braking from the Porsche, though, and a better line for the Ferrari driver, I think, as they get a good exit. No, it's a better line for the Porsche. So the Porsche is going to close in just a little bit more as we go down towards turn 4. Turn 4, of course, great opportunity to make a move, but it's not going to be the opportunity just yet. And quite an intense start to this race. I had the leaderboard on the wrong side of the screen there. My apologies. Oliver suffocating quite close behind Ivanov again. So Ivanov still not in the clear, even though. Webby very, very close behind Tudor. So these two are still going at it, still fighting. And now it's going to be Chinmay picking up the pieces of the little bit of a scrap that Webby got into. side by side as they go down the back straight. Late braking from Webby, very, very late braking from Webby, and that's going to be enough for him to lose the position. Now we have, I think that's Austrier just behind. Austrier's going to get a good launch here. The Aston Martin is very, very quick in a straight line. This could be a big threat for Webby here. Webby might not be so much in the clear with the McLaren, or with the Aston Martin on his tail, but good line from the McLaren in front is going to keep him just ahead. Anthony in that Porsche making a good run on the Ferrari in front. Very, very close as they go through turn 3. Turn 3, of course, that very, very difficult uphill braking zone. Hard to get the car slowed down, hard to get the car turned in, and even harder to get on the traction. It's a perfect storm for a difficult corner. And an incident for Tudir and Shinmei. I think they might have collided side by side, and that will cost both of them, no doubt. We will just look in the replay real quick while there's not a huge amount going on track. This is going to be a late dive from Shinmei down into turn 3 as we go down the back straight, or down the main straight right now, just on the pit exit. Heavy braking for turn 3, and it is going to be late braking from Shinmei, causing that incident, and Tudir spun off the track. That's going to be unfortunate for him. He's losing a lot of positions now. It's going to be damage to the back of that McLaren. And damage is not what you want here at the Red Bull Ring. Damage, of course, very influential on a track with so many straights. I think that is our first blue flag of the race, and it is dragging, does drag Andrew backwards towards Serabin. So very close between the two Ferraris now. Serabin, of course, was quicker in qualifying, but Andrew right now is putting on the paces and really making that blue Ferrari driver work hard for this position. Not just going to hand it over, not just going to back out, and it's going to be very close between the both of them. Speaking of close between the both of them, it's going to be Kelly and Spinner. Still close, still just as close as they were last time we clicked over. And right now it's a little bit of a brawl between all of the drivers. It's been quite a start to this race, 10 minutes in already, and I feel like we've had more battles than we've had all season even. Red Bull Ring, of course, a great track for overtakes, great track for battles, and that's exactly what we're seeing here today right now. Drivers are absolutely storming. Chinmei and Tudir are going to go side by side. It might have been Chinmei giving way, might have been Chinmei getting a bad exit of the corner. It's the best lap from Nico with a 28.0. So a little bit off of his quali time, but it's still a really, really quick lap regardless. Getting anywhere near your quali time during the race on tires that are already 10 minutes old is impressive. You have more fuel in the tank. You have a lot more pressure to just take it easy, and this is no exception. I do need to take a breath, but it's hard to take a breath when there's so much going on track, and that's going to be another close battle between the top three, sorry. P3 and P2, Andrew and Serabin, both fighting for this position still. I don't think this battle's going to end anytime soon. Drivers will not necessarily be thinking about it right yet, but they will have to think about their pit stop strategy. Pit stop strategy, of course, can allow you to make an overtake without actually passing on track, and that seems like what Serabin needs right now. Serabin needs to make an overtake without losing too much time, without having to battle as hard. And right now, Andrew is not going to give any leeway to that Ferrari driver behind. So it's going to take some sort of strategy fight for Serabin to get by, or a really, really good move. Both are, of course, possible. But I think the likely situation is that Serabin tries to make the move in the pit stop. Flynn, very, very close behind Ivanov as we go through turn 1. It's going to be a good exit from the Lamborghini driver in front. That's going to take a little bit of pressure off. It's not a ton of pressure off now, as Webby and Austrier go side by side down the main straight, side by side through turn 1. Late braking from the Aston Martin. A little bit early braking from the McLaren driver, I think overestimating how late on the brakes that Aston Martin was. But now it's a big run up the hill for the McLaren driver, for Wabi, as they go bumper to bumper through turn 2, through turn 3 now. And it's heavy braking from the McLaren. Thinks about going for the move. Thinks about doing exactly what Lando Norris did here only a few weeks prior. Only a week or so prior, actually. Even sooner than that. Same brand of car. Not the same car, though. Lando Norris, of course, an F1 driver who was... we saw some great battling from in F1. And we're seeing some equally impressive battling here in the GT3s today. Oliver Flynn trying desperately to close that gap to Ivanov. Still very, very close behind. The slipstream very strong. The Aston Martin very quick in a straight line. And Nico is going to set a 27.8. 27.8, of course. Faster than anyone's quali lap, besides for his own. So Nico is practically showing off now. Jake Spinner still directly behind Kelly here. I think my HUD might have bugged, because I don't think Kelly lost the position to Spinner. Still under threat, though, as we go down the straight. I don't think I'm ever going to get it right. I need to just say Ollie. I need to say Ollie, and I need to forget about suffocating. Honestly, I don't know why I can't get it in my head. I will just call them, yeah, I'll just call them Ollie. We're just gonna call him Ollie and call it a day. And hopefully I don't mess that up. Speaking of, Ollie is very, very close behind Ivanov here. Suffocating in that Aston Martin. Very quick in a straight line, as I've been saying. Doesn't seem the quickest of cars in the straight line. I think Suffocating just running a little bit higher wing to compensate for the track as it is right now. Oh, Flynn is actually on track as well. That's the worst part. Oh dear. Yeah, Flynn is down in P19. And Andrew Taggart is on track as well. I didn't even recognize. He's moved himself up into P22, but that's not enough for points just yet. I will keep an eye on that though. Suffocating very, very close behind still, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon as they go down the down into turn 3, or sorry, up into turn 3. Yeah, I didn't realize Mav was here either. You must have joined like at the latter half of qualifying. Whatever the case, Mav is making some moves. We'll just go look and see. I don't think he was here on. He might have joined. I don't think he was here for the. I think he's why our game froze during the formation. He might have joined at the formation lap. But he does make a nice move through turn 1 to take P21. P21, of course, is not a points finish, but it is one position away from a points finish as he goes very, very wide, loses the position to the BMW. Suffocating still very, very close, tripping us up with that time delta because it's 0.2 of a second. It's hard to click away when it's 0.2 of a second because you never know when this overtake will come. And it looks like it might have been a good launch from the Aston Martin. No, not a good launch from the Aston Martin. Oh, alright, alright. Well, whatever the case, I hope it did not disrupt any drivers on that formation lap. I know personally if my game froze like that during the formation, I would be very, very unhappy. As Mav makes the move in for P21, takes back the position. I think there was an incident between the pair of them. We'll have a look here in a second. So it's the BMW in front as we go down into the sweeping left-handers. And is it going to be an incident between the pair of them? It's going to be side by side for a very, very tricky corner. I don't think there was an incident there. I think that was all clear. Chinmay moves it up on Chu, side by side on the exit of turn 3. I think Chu made a mistake there because lost a whole bunch of time to the McLaren driver. A very, very abrupt loss of time that we were not able to predict. Chinmay going to hold that inside line. BMW tries to sweep around the outside, not quite enough. And no, Chu with the blinker on his car. So not fighting or dealing with some sort of issue? Or accidentally keeping the blinker on, one or the other. Everyone can make their jokes about a BMW driver using their blinker now. It is scene appropriate. Still a battle here for P21. Still a battle for P8. Keeping an eye on both of them respectively. Very, very close between the BMW and the McLaren driver. As a big snap from the BMW on exit, just barely keeps control of the car, but that was very snappy. Oliver suffocating, still in P9. It's been a the easiest way to describe it. This has been a brawl of a race. Drivers have been throwing haymakers at each other and fighting for everything they've got.
I've been seeing on a spreadsheet so far.
Yeah, it's been some scrappy fights, but it's been some good fights.
Yeah, I see some people struggling today on turn 1 especially with the car. A lot of people spawned there already today. But we have, I think we have a nice fight on hands for between P8 and P12. There are 4 or 5 cars together on a very close group.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if Suffocating is going to make this move, though. He's been behind Ivanov for so long. He's proven that he has the pace, but he's just not able to cling on close enough through this final sector to make the move through the one section that his car really does have an advantage. And I think that's playing a big influence. As a car off in the background, I think that is who is that? I think that was a blue flag car losing control. That was Elijah Melwin losing control through T1. He is a blue flag car.
So it's the second time Elijah loses the car there today.
Ollie side by side makes the move around the outside of turn 3. A little bit of contact between the pair of them. That's going to be Oliver Suffocating dropping back into P9. I don't know who was at fault for that, but definitely got a little bit hairy there. Kelly has closed in on the back of these two as they have begun fighting, though. That's going to be influential if Spinner doesn't fight. Of course, if you fight with another driver, you do lose time, and that time loss can take you out of a battle like this. Jake Spinner may well choose to just help Kelly push forward as Dirk goes up to P12. I think a little bit of an incident for Kiri losing control of the car. Spinner may well choose not to fight with Kelly here. And some drivers might argue, why would you do that? You're close to another car, you should be fighting them. But in a situation like this where you're trying to catch up to that car in front, not always the wise choice. Sometimes it is a fun choice. Certainly the preferred way of fighting. But catching up to the cars in front is equally important. As the car stopped off to the right there, very, very dangerous spot to stop the car. Especially considering all these drivers are battling so close. If a driver gets forced to the inside line, squeeze that inside line, good chance that they get into some sort of collision. Very close still between all the drivers, and a big mistake from Ivanov on exit. He's going to have to defend. There's no way he doesn't have to defend. Lambo with a really good exit even despite that. Aston Martin just struggling a little bit, but as soon as we get into the high speeds, that's where the Aston Martin reigns supreme. Late braking from the pair of them. Suffocating goes for the switchback, very, very close behind to the Lamborghini. Gonna have the outside line for turn 5. Gonna go side by side yet again, and that's losing time to Kelly, losing time to Spinner, and that's gonna invite them into the battle. Side by side still as they go through the next series of corners, but it's gonna be Oliver Suffocating taking away P7, finally snatching that position away from Ivanov, and Ivanov now under threat from Kelly as we go down into the final 2 corners. Kelly's going to have side by side. No! Yes! Late dive from the Ferrari driver, loses control of the car, goes over the grass, and it's contact to the back of the Ferrari driver. I think the move might have been on there. It was very, very squirrely from the RSR car, but I think the stewards will be okay with that. He did get fully ahead. The tap was to the rear of the car. It is a generally frowned upon move, a block pass, but it is okay to do. And that will be Kelly taking big advantage of the situation now. Jake Spinner looking to do the same as the car just in front of him did, but he's not close enough for it. And Ivanov is close enough for a dive down into turn 3. It's going to be a late dive from the Lamborghini driver, almost certainly trying to take back that position from the Ferrari. Side by side as they go through turn 3. Kelly forced onto the sausage curb. Ivanov defends the inside. It's going to be almost 3 wide as we go through the corner. Side by side for Jake Spinner and Kelly as we go down into turn 4. It is an absolute brawl here at the Red Bull Ring. Side by side now. Porsche on the inside. Kelly on the outside. Is he going to get forced wide by the Porsche driver? A little bit, but it's not enough for him to lose that position. Still side by side. No, Kelly drops back. So it's going to be Spinner taking the position. Kelly with a late dive is going to move up the inside of the Porsche driver side by side as they go down through into turn 7, and late braking from the Ferrari is going to bring him back into P9. And what a battle we're witnessing here today already. Spinner very, very close behind. Kelly's going to have to defend the inside. He's going to have to defend the inside. Moves over. Might have moved over just a little bit late there on the Porsche driver, and it is getting scrappy here at the midfield, at the front of the midfield. Drivers fighting tooth and nail for all that they have, and Ivanov is the benefactor of it all right now as he has pulled or not Ivanov, sorry. Oliver has pulled a 2-second gap to the group already just because of how much fighting they're doing. Kelly might go for a dive here. Ivanov defends the inside. He's wary of the Ferrari behind. That RSR Ferrari very quick in a straight line, and that is a big benefit here at the Red Bull Ring. Late braking from the pair of them, but it's later braking from the Lamborghini, and it's a good exit from Jake Spinner as he closes in on the back of the Ferrari, who overtook him only a few laps prior. What a battle so far, though. It's been non-stop action for 24 minutes so far. Jake Spinner very, very close behind the Ferrari driver. Go on board with the splitter, and you can see just how short the gaps are between these drivers. 0.5 a second, 0.4 of a second. Make it 0.3 between Kelly and the driver in front, as he is practically pushing him now, or at least trying his best to. They're going to go bumper to bumper on the exit of turn 8. And this might be a late braking from Kelly down into that final corner. A very, very tricky series of corners. Good overtaking opportunity if you are especially brave. A bad overtaking opportunity if you are not. Big run from the Porsche driver as Kelly makes a mistake on exit. But it's going to be a nice line through the final corner for the Ferrari driver to just make himself nice and safe going down the main straight. Yeah, I'm hardly getting a chance to breathe this race. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Kiri into the pit lane. You can see on the left-hand side of your screen, drivers with the orange number 1 will still have to serve a pit stop this race. Drivers with green means that they have served their pit stops. They will have lost at least 50 seconds of lap time. So if they are 50 seconds behind a driver, they will overtake them when that driver enters the pit lane. And that is how pit strategy works. You drop back temporarily on track. You get as many good laps in as you can, and you gain back the time. It's only a temporary loss of time, which means when you gain back that time, you end up ahead of your opponent. And that's what a lot of these drivers here fighting so hard will be starting to think about. 34 minutes left on the clock, about halfway through the race right now, and it's still as close as if it's turn 1. We didn't see the runaway we expected from Nico. Only a 12-second gap from Andrew behind as Kelly dives into the pit lane. That will now open up the gap to the cars in front, allow them some free space to do as they please. Suffocating has set himself up with a nice 2.5 second gap to Ivanov behind. Spinner falling behind Ivanov in that little train. Kelly, of course, in the pit lane, will emerge back towards where these drivers end up in the pit lane. But if Kelly can get some good laps in on the pit exit for the next few laps, there's a good chance that he can overtake these drivers and potentially put himself into a very nice, very safe position. And safety, of course, don't think about it nearly as much as drivers go side by side through turn 1, and that was Chinmay losing the position to Webby. Don't think about safety nearly as much when driving as you really should. In the sim, of course, we're not at risk. There's no real consequence for crashing. What's the worst that's gonna happen? You're gonna damage your car. Oh, boo-hoo, right? But when it comes down to your race, it's very important to keep preserved, very important to keep yourself alive, and sometimes that just means pitting a little bit early, avoiding traffic, avoiding other cars, and not having to deal with as much risk. Risk versus reward, and pit stop strategies are the ultimate risk versus reward because it's low risk, high reward. And that's what you're going to want when you want a lot of reward in sim racing. Of course, when you enter those pits, you are pretty much completely safe. I mean, there's nothing really that can go wrong inside of the pits. ACC does not simulate pit stop mistakes. And I will say, we did just see Jake Spinner in the pit lane, so is Suffocating. So is Sarabin.
Ollie. He missed the pit box.
So we're going to go on board with Kelly and see if Kelly emerges in front of these drivers or not, or if they emerge in front of him or not, I should say. If he set some good laps, which he didn't really get given the opportunity to set laps, and that's part of the pit strategy. If you pit shortly after your opponent, they won't have as much time on that fresh rubber to overtake you. It does mean your latter half of the race is a little bit worse, but it is worthwhile if you are defending your position. And in this case, this was them defending their position.
Ollie lost position to Jakob.
And Spinner has also stayed well behind Kelly. So Kelly has gained time with the pit stops. It was a great pit stop from the RSR Ferrari to hold himself in that position. And not just hold himself in that position, but now he has gained the position to Suffocating. And he has gained a lot of time to Ollie. Or not Ollie, sorry, Jake Spinner. In P16, temporary P16, of course. Positions will change as pit stops go on. There's plenty of drivers in front right now that have not pitted. Current driver in P1 is Nico. Nico has not pitted yet. Andrew in P2 has not pitted yet. Robert in P3 has not pitted yet. Arct has not pitted. Ivanov, Ozdir has just pitted in. Chinmay has not pitted. Webby has not pitted. Chu has not pitted. And Flynn has not pitted. Thomas and Taggart have also not pitted yet. It's not too late to pit. It is a little bit early sometimes to pit. It depends on the strategy that you are on. Coco has made a run up the field, I believe. We can look at the position delta right now. He's down 3 positions, but I think he's going to gain more than 3 positions when drivers are passed in the pit lane. So he could well gain positions here. Kelly is down 6 positions from his start. So he started in P9, and he has dropped back at the field. We'll see what that changes to after the pit stops, though. That is, of course, the difficult thing to call here with the position delta is it doesn't account for the positions gained or lost from the pits. So drivers will have lost a bunch of positions, and I say that with quotation marks, lost positions, entering the pit stop, because you do lose about 50 seconds. Stationary time here at Red Bull Ring, right?
Yeah, around that.
I can take a look here. I have no idea. It's saying drivers are stationary for about 28 seconds, which does check out. It's a 30-second pit stop if you change tires, but ACC will allow you to start the car and get moving just a little bit sooner if you hit the ignition button. I'm getting advised there is a car in the middle of the track, and there is a car in the middle of the track. That is Jonas stopped in the middle of the track. He will need to move that car out of the track surface, or it will yeah, it's a hazard for plenty of drivers. Yellow flag through the section. Drivers will need to be careful and need to watch out. Kelly did just make the move on Thomas. I think Thomas made a mistake there. We'll go back in the replay, just make sure we don't miss anything too important. Thomas, of course, is not fighting for position right now. I wonder if they were just sorting out a mechanical issue or something of the sort. And it was a big mistake from Thomas. That's why that gap closed so quickly. That's why we were caught off guard by it. And will it be a mistake from Thomas allowing the move? And it is a mistake from Thomas allowing the move. Kelly dives down the inside through the final corner and takes away that position from Thomas. So that's Kelly moving up a position. It's not really a position truly in that sense. Not fighting for the same position on track. Ivanov losing the position on, I believe, pit exit there. It would make sense, as Ivanov was just behind Kelly when we entered the pit stop, and so they will emerge bumper to bumper just as they entered. Yeah, weird to see a car in the middle of the track. Wonder if they were just suffering some sort of mechanical failure in real life, some issue with their wheelbase, some issue with their pedals, where they just couldn't get the car off of the racing surface. Whatever the case, it is clear now, so it's not any further hazard, and won't be causing any future issues. Chinmay in the pits will get passed by Kelly here. Almost certainly will get passed by Kelly here, and that's Kelly up one position from his starting position. Kelly did start the race in P9, now he is P8, so it's a great run from him so far, and I don't know that he's going to be able to catch up to Coco in front. Coco, of course, is 8 seconds down the road. 8 seconds is a lot of time. It's not impossible, but it does take some very, very good pace in order to set that. And right now, Coco is setting the quicker pace than Kelly. So, as long as there's no incidents in front, I don't think Kelly's catching, but I think Kelly is going to be quite safe from Ivanov behind, as long as he can keep to his running and keep his car moving quick. It's been quite the race so far, Yuzabe. Quite the race.
That's good, I think.
It's
Again,
been
it's one of those tracks. Due to the small length of the track itself, it will increase basically the chance of having multiple fights multiple times. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're racing at par, for example, at some point the field spreads so much that it takes some time for someone to find another driver.
Yeah, and also keep in mind, it's Red Bull Ring. The track is comprised of almost entirely straightaways, which means you slipstream, you stay closer because of that. The corners are difficult, which means the driver in front is always at a little bit of a disadvantage. The driver behind just needs to match the same speed through the corner, which means they have a much easier time doing a lap behind another car, rather than being the car in front exploring the track for the first time.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Somewhat close between Patrick and Coco. Coco trying his best to move forward through the field. Spinner and Ivanov also very close, so Ivanov may well have another battle on his hands if he is not careful. Of course, he did get overtaken by Kelly, so he will not be wanting to lose yet another position to another driver, and Spinner will be very much so wanting to gain this position on the Lamborghini driver. Nico P1 still has not pitted just yet, waiting as late as possible. He has a 70-second gap right now that will cut back down to about a 10 to 20 second gap. Sorry, he will lose about 50 to 60 seconds, and he is into the pits now for the first and only time this race. I should hope only time this race for the, I believe, championship leader after this race. Do confirm, Yuzume.
If he wins, yes, he will be P1, 5 points in front of Julian. So basically, Nico will have 180 points after this race if he keeps the position that is now for the win. Julian will stay in second place with 175, and Lucas P3 with 170.
So very close for the championship fight right now. Of
Yeah,
course,
but
position differences at the front of the field are only worth 5 points. So it goes 50, 45, 40 for the top 3. And that does mean that those 5 points are 1 position of separation between the top 3. In other words, if the next race finishes with Friedrich, Stuckrath, then Nico, we will have a
it will be
3-way tie for the championship.
exactly.
And not only is that not out of the realm of possibilities, but we've nearly seen that in a race prior. So there's a good chance that this championship fight gets very, very close in the next few races.
As you know, the last 3 seasons, except the last one, they went like down to the wire to the last race.
Yeah, Phoenix has had some very good championship fights as of recent, and this is no exception. The battle is so close at the front of the field right now, and even though Stuckrath and Friedrich didn't show up to today's race, Nico didn't show up to a race 2 weeks ago, and that is why we're seeing the points level out as they have. All 3 championship contenders are all now missing 1 round of racing, and that all means it's essentially an 8-round championship for the championship. Suppose there's better ways to word that, but
Probably, but English is your side, so.
yeah, it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be. Sometimes it doesn't sound like it though.
The race just enters the phase of the calm phase, let's call it like that. We can see it on the spreadsheet with the lowest amount of reports right now. People start to get into the final positions, and now it's more a question of mistakes than pace itself.
And I will point out, with it being Red Bull Ring, there's always a little bit of calm before the storm. The end of a Red Bull Ring race is never so smooth. There's always going to be something going on, and I think the battle to watch right now is going to be these 3 drivers you see on your screen right now. They do separate just a little bit here, but quite close between all of them. Jake Spinner in P10, Ivanov P9, and Oliver suffocating in P11. All separated by 2 seconds. It's a lot of time to separate 3 drivers, but it is going to condense, and it has been condensing for the past few laps here.
But again, like I was just saying, it's gonna close even more by the end of the race, most likely. The pace will increase, so.
I'm very impressed by Nico's pace this race. Not only is he running away in P1, but he's running away with a lap time that is quicker than anyone else did in qualifying.
Yeah, already last race we saw at Paul Ricard that Nico had a very quality pace and equal in the race. It was a little bit different because we had the spin from Julian and Lucas, which kind of give him, let's call it an easy race. More about management than everything else. And today we are seeing the same thing, but as you know better than anyone else does, it's difficult to keep your pace without pressure sometimes.
Yeah, it helps to have some of that motivation to keep you moving. Of course, drivers generally don't want that much pressure, but in cases like a race like this where you're in P1 by 20 seconds, you kind of need that pressure to keep you in your right mind. Coco making a mistake, lots of damage on the front of that McLaren. I think he might have just lost control of the car and crashed. We will go back and look and see if we can't figure out what happened, but that is dragging him back towards the battle, and that will be very influential. As a big slide onto the grass, and a snap to the right. There's no saving that for the McLaren driver. Not in the slightest. And stranded in the middle of the track. Oh, it's a horrible spot for him to get stuck. I don't envy that position in the slightest. How much is that damage going to impact him on the straights, though? That is the real question, because if it impacts him too much, that's going to allow Ivanov to make a move, allow Spinner to make a move, allow Oliver Suffocating to make a move, sorry. Yeah, just clips the grass on exit, though. That was a very, very violent crash, and that's what I was talking about. The calm before the storm. It's never so simple when it comes to Red Bull Ring. And now we're going to see a brawl here happen between Ivanov and Coco. Not only that, but that is immediately dragged Spinner into the fight, and immediately dragging Ollie into the fight. So now we're going to see a whole bunch of drivers closing in together and fighting very, very hard. And right now, Coco has already lost one position. Ivanov is going to be able to break free a little bit and run away. But Coco will lose the position to Spinner, and now he's under threat from the Aston Martin behind, and Oliver Flynn will almost certainly make the move here as he goes through on the inside, side by side, down the main straight, down the pit straight, and now into T1. It's going to be heavy braking from the Aston Martin driver. Has to worry about the Porsche in front, but it's okay for him. Porsche very, very late on the brakes naturally, just because of how the car drives. Coco tries to pull out of the slipstream, tries to get a run, but no slingshot with that much damage on front. As soon as he's out from behind the Aston Martin, there's just a buffet of wind on the front of that car. That damage is essentially a parachute, as he's smushed in the whole front aero profile. And these cars are designed to be very, very slippery. You're not going to have a very slippery car when half your hood is falling off. And things like that are why it's never over till it's over.
Exactly, it's never over until it's over, and like we said at the beginning, there was a group of cars pretty well together, and 3 of them are still pretty close, between Ivanov, Spinner and Ollie. And we just saw how important it is to the race itself, the strategy of the pit stops, like we say from Kelly today, basically gain 3 positions basically by releasing himself of that fight. So let's see how these 3 guys came close, because they are still within the same second almost.
Yeah, it's that time of the race where drivers are going to be, I would say, getting desperate.
It is. It's
And
like
I say that speaking from experience. You start to push the car more, and for some drivers, like say Spinner in that Porsche's not going to be conducive to that type of driving. That means you'll see cars like the Aston Martin, BMW, some of the more stable cars that allow you to do it. McLaren will be quite quick in the latter half of the race, just because the McLaren is so easy to drive over the limit. I know, speaking from experience, you can basically drive the McLaren like there isn't a limit. If you go too fast, you go too fast, and you have a little bit of a slide. There's not a huge consequence to it.
the McLaren is naturally sliding, so I think you even got penalized if you don't slide the car, to be fair with you.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, not necessarily, but
I mean, it depends what you mean by sliding. Obviously, every single GT3 car in the world will slide on corners. It's just how it is.
for sure.
F1 cars slide, GT cars slide, touring cars slide, rally cars slide. There's slip angle in racing. You want a little bit of rotation on the rear of the car. Your rear tires are going to have less grip when you go into a corner.
They're very close now.
Yeah, very, very close as we go down into turn 3. Just trying to keep an eye on everything going on track at once. Outside line for the Porsche driver. It's going to be a sweep around the outside. You bet it's going to be a sweep around the outside. Side by side, and now Ollie potentially with the move, but no. Backs out. I don't think he wanted to make it 3 wide there. Side by side still. Amazingly held around the outside for the Porsche driver. Now he's going to go for the switchback on the Lambo. See if he can get to the outside line yet again, but it's not going to be enough. Very, very close on exit though. It's not going to be out of the realm of possibility here, and stays behind the Lambo for now. A whole bunch of Lamborghini bumper in front of that Porsche as we go through the through turn 7. Instead, of course, giving us some strange cameras here at Red Bull Ring, but we'll take what we can get. Very bad exit from the Porsche driver. I think losing a little bit of control, and that's going to be suffocating, going down the inside and taking away P9. So change of positions here, and not the change of positions we were expecting. And Ivanov's going to be breathing a breath of relief now with less pressure behind him.
Question is for how long?
For how long is right. I think Spinner is the quickest of this group, though. No, Oliver Suffocating is the quickest of the group, with a best lap time of 29.1, Jake Spinner with a 29.3, and Ivanov with a 29.6. So gaps should close pretty significantly here, and that should mean we get a little bit more fight. 13 minutes left in racing. 13 minutes left of racing. It's not a lot of time for Oliver to make this move. That does mean that Suffocating's going to have to take a few more risks. And that's exactly why this latter half of the race is going to be a little bit more intense. You push a lot harder. You go for more moves that you wouldn't necessarily go for. Thinking about it that way, it's the end of the race. It's all or nothing. And some drivers are willing to take that risk. I know I personally, I love the all or nothing driving style. I will absolutely send it any chance I can. Just because it's the way I enjoy driving, it's the way I have fun. If you're not having fun while sim racing, I don't think you should be sim racing. Ozzer again going for the move on Chinmay here. It's going to be a sweep around the inside. No, tries to go for the inside. Not the switchback that he needed. Keeping an eye on the gap between Ollie and Ivanov still. Very, very close between them. Very, very close for this little battle here for P15. So 2 battles already are going to be the end of this race. And that seems to be all that we're going to get. It's going to be plenty fine by me. 2 battles is already a lot to keep attention to. Defending the inside is Chinmay. Ozdir is going to go around the outside potentially. No, switchback maneuver attempt from the Aston Martin yet again. It's not going to be enough as we go through the final corner. Late braking from the McLaren driver. Good exit from the Aston Martin driver. Is it going to be enough to make the move down into turn 1? I don't think it is, but it's going to be very, very close. Maybe a position overtake into turn 3. No, side by side through turn 1. It's going to be late braking from the McLaren again. And oh, nearly incident between the pair of them. McLaren running wide and is going to lose the position. Chinmay now side by side with Webby. Webby might take this position away, and he will take the position away. Now Chinmay on the back foot and dropping back of the group will stay into, or will be dropped back into P17. Ozdir moving up to P15 and Webby into P16. If we just have a look at the position delta right now, you can see which drivers have gained and lost positions. It's going to be Nico P1 with no positions lost, no positions gained. Andrew with 2 up. Serbin down 1. Robert down 1. Art in the same. Patrick in the same. Kelly up 2. Incident between a blue flag and a NP6 right now. Ivanov staying where he was. Oliver moving down 2 positions. Spinner moving up 1. Coco moving down 1. Anthony moving up 4. And I think 5 at the back of the grid for both Taggart and Thomas. So both of those drivers gaining a ton of positions on this race. Webby with 8 positions gained throughout the race. Very, very nice from him. Very close between Kiri and the other Porsche as they make contact on the exit of turn 3. We'll go back to the race caps and we can see what's going on. And yeah, a little bit of contact between Kiri and Anthony there. I think Anthony might have a contender for best livery here. Usually, I don't know if you've taken a look at that Porsche. Very nice livery. Always a big fan of the green, black, and white colors. Very, very close between 3 different drivers right now. It is an absolute fight. Ozzer did just make the move on Webby, and now it's going to be Webby trying to take back the position, nudging the Aston Martin wide of turn 3, and now it's going to have to defend to the inside. Kiri fighting hard with Anthony right now. 0.3 of a second separating them. Ollie 0.3 behind Ivanov for P8. So very, very close battles going on right now. There's a little bit of contact between Webby and Oster, and that's going to be Webby going off the track, losing the position to Oster, losing the position to, I believe that is a blue flag, or no, that is a lapping driver. So that is Anthony right there, passing both Webby and now passing Oster. Very, very close between Oliver suffocating and Ivanov trying to go around the outside down through turn 3. It's not going to be enough, but it's going to be very close on exit. It's going to be a good run from the Aston Martin driver. Ivanov is going to have to defend to the inside. Holds that inside line. Potentially, no. He's going to move back to the outside, hold his racing line, and hold onto the position for now, unless Ollie goes for a very late move, but he's not going to go for one. So it's going to be Ivanov holding on to that position, but he's going to have to fight tooth and nail to hold on to the position for another 8 minutes of racing. It's not over yet, and it's not going to be over for a while still when you're looking at that clock. And that's going to be the big thing here for the drivers is if they pay attention to that time, it's going to feel a whole lot longer than it is. It's going to be a big battle here from the 95 and the 50. It's going to be the battle to watch as we go towards the end of this race. The final few minutes of racing, final few laps of racing. Should be about 5-6 laps of racing left, so that means 5 or 6 laps of attempts left for Oliver to potentially take advantage of. Big run down the straightaway, gonna get a good line through T1 for turn 3. Potentially here. Lamborghini does get a good exit though, and that's gonna set the gap up just a little bit wider. Oliver not getting the run he needs to make the move down into turn 3, but he could make the move down into turn 4. Turn 4 is, of course, my personal favorite overtaking opportunity on the track. I think turn 3 sets it up the best of any corner on the track, and turn 4 allows you to brake very, very late, allows you to send some dives that you wouldn't otherwise think would be possible. You can do some quite brazen maneuvers through turn 4. We're not going to see one of those just yet. We are going to see a very late braking from the Aston Martin, very early braking from the Lamborghini driver. Nearly caused an incident, but no incident between the pair of them. 0.8 of a second separating them. That will close down as Ollie did try to make a move there. You do lose time if you do go for a move and do not succeed. And that loss of time can cost you if there's a car behind, but there's no car behind right now. The Lambo is slow on the straight, but I think the Aston Martin is running too high a wing here. Very, very slow for him. DT for the number 22. I don't know where the 22 is on track right now. There is no 22 on track right now, according to my showcase. No, there is. And there's Chinmay serving a drive-through. Kiri very, very close behind Coco here for P11. Yeah, so Chinmay losing even more of his precious race. And that's going to be unfortunate for him. He's not had the greatest of runs. Neither has Coco. Very close between a lot of drivers right now. And that's Anthony just behind getting involved in this battle potentially. In that Porsche. And as Kiri gives way, that's going to close the gap significantly to the Porsche behind. In fact, the Porsche is going to get a massive run now down towards turn 4. Is it going to be enough for him to make the move? Certainly not from this gap. Unless he absolutely sends it. Very, very close on exit of turn 4 between Oliver suffocating and Ivanov just in front. 5 minutes left of racing here in round 5 of racing. And I don't think this gap is going to change anytime soon. Kiri right on the back of Coco. Might go for the move down the inside and side by side for the Porsche and the McLaren. A big braking zone here. Sweeps around the outside for the McLaren. Sweeps through the inside for the Porsche. Takes the position. Is going to be a good exit to hold on to this position though. Coco now under threat from Anthony behind just a little bit more. And Kiri will hold on to the position as we go through the final few corners. Oliver is now still fighting very, very hard between Ivanov. Running out of time now. 50% of the way of what they were when this brawl started. So now Ivanov is going to be feeling the pressure, but knowing that it's absolutely possible. Anthony's going to gain the position as Coco loses control of the car, drifts wide of T1, I think hits the curb or something of the sort. Whatever the case, he lost the position, and he lost it due to his own mistake. And now Coco will have to try and push forward to catch back up with Anthony. Very, very close here, still between Suffocating and Ivanov. And that's not going to change anytime soon. 4 minutes left of racing. Only 4 laps of racing left in this round.
Okay, so our predictions to the gap in front, only 26.7, 30 seconds right now.
Yeah, only 34 seconds. We did have a little prediction between me and Yuzubi about what the gap would have been with Nico. I don't think he's been setting the fastest of pace. He's only been doing 28s this race. So I think we overestimated his pace just a little bit. I think you're closer on the mark than I was, though. As I thought we'd have around about a 50-second gap. It's only 34, and I think, what did you say? You said 40?
47 seconds, huh? So let's see it then, but it's not that far away. But yeah, I think Nico is playing a little bit safe also, because we also both know that drift tracks is not nice on track limits.
Well, I think Nico heard us, because he did just set his quali lap. Ooh, very dangerous with the blue flags here. A little bit of a mess, and that's going to separate the pair of drivers a lot here. I think that was an Aston Martin completely stopped on the entry of 3. Yeah, this has been a very intense race. I'm going to need to give my throat a nice break after this. There's so much happening on track. This has been the best race of all of the season so far, without a doubt. The battle has been electric. There's going to be a lot of work for the stewards to do. Almost certainly. There's been quite a few taps and bumps, but I don't think it's that bad.
No, overall, look, there is always going to be small taps here and there. Also due to the nature of Turk 3, as you know, it's one of the best places to make some late dives. Drivers sometimes forget to leave some space for the defending car.
I would honestly wonder if some drivers saw the reduced penalties and figured, let's send it just a little bit more. And I'm all for it. As a commentator, as a steward, it scares me, but
I'm gonna give you before review evaluation. Like right now, you have almost everyone, 50% of the grid have been involved in something, but the worst someone is most likely getting today is gonna be 20 seconds, which is very good. As you know, sometimes people gather a crazy amount of time penalties.
I'll also point out, considering these are GT3 cars, this has been very clean racing.
It is,
GT3s are made to rub and push. You've got a bumper for a reason. It's not a bumper if you don't bump.
Look, so far you win an hour of racing, there is 20 incidents. So overall, which is
it's not bad at all.
Not bad at all.
I've seen quite a few of them already this race. I think a vast majority of those will be just racing incidents. They're a little bit on the edge. They're a little aggressive, but they will be.
50% of those are going to be racing incidents, not even the incident itself.
And we're on to the final lap of racing. Nico still P1, Andrew P3, or P2, sorry, and Serabin P3. It's going to be the battle between Ollie and Ivanov for P8 that concludes the last of the fights on track. This is going to be an intense battle here at the Red Bull Ring. It's his last opportunity to make the move. He's going to have to do something brave. He's going to have to do something brazen if he does want to take this position. Heavy on the brakes for both of them going into turn 3. Very, very wide from the Aston Martin. That's going to drop him back just a little bit. Ivanov is going to be safer now than he was prior. We're going to go on board with the wing cam on the Lamborghini. And you can see that gap has opened up. And there's almost certainly going to be nothing that Ivanov could do to lose this position. Nothing Ollie can do to take this position. So it should be Ivanov taking P8 after a very intense battle between the pair of them. We'll click over to look at Nico just for the final lap, give him some of the screen time he deserves. There hasn't been much to watch from the Ferrari driver, given he's just been running away with it. His last lap was quicker than his qualifying time, I think quicker than his qualifying time. So he definitely heard us here in the commentary booth. I know he watches the stream while driving. I did say he needed to push a little bit more, and push he has, as he's gone faster on his lap through the final corners for the final time in this race, as he gets ready to cross the line, the final corner, over the curb, over the straight, and across the line to win Red Bull Ring for the 5th round of racing, and that has tied up the championship points. That is significantly improved the championship fight. Andrew will likely take P2, but it's not over just yet. Oliver in front will have one last lap of racing, so I was wrong, and he was actually behind the leader ahead of the leader across the line, and that does mean he gets one extra lap of racing. And now it's a little bit of a brawl as the blue flag gets involved. 0.4 of a second, 0.5 of a second. It's very, very close as we go down towards turn 4. This could be the overtake. This could be the opportunity that Ollie needed. The blue flag car does very much so want to get involved. Interesting, but he is allowed to unlap himself. I think it is unwise in this situation to go for it, and I would definitely frown upon any sort of overtake here. Very, very close, 0.3 of a second. Now going to be 0.2 on exit, potentially. Very, very close between the Lambo and the Aston Martin. It's not over yet as we go towards the final 2 corners. Ivanov has to hold him off for 2 more corners here, and we might see a dive from Ollie. Might see a good exit through the final corner. A mistake from the Lamborghini. It's not over yet. It's not over until that line comes across. Very, very close. Good exit from the Lamborghini. It's going to hold him in P8, and he's going to take P8 for Red Bull Ring. Very, very close across the line for all of them. And a great fight today here in Phoenix Sim Sport. And what a race it was, as I think... Nico's not going to show us any donuts. Andrew might give us some donuts. No, it's the Ford giving us some nice donuts. What a race that was today, and what a battle that was to witness. As Andrew now into the pit lane. Sarabin taking P3. That's their best result of the season. The other Bluey Ferrari of Derg just beside them. And I want to thank everyone for joining us here for the Red Bull Ring race. I hope you'll join us next week for the next round of racing. The championship battle is back on track. There will be only 5 points separating P1 and P2, and that is only a single position's worth of points. The championship battle will get tied up if Julian finishes P2 and Nico finishes P1, or if Friedrich finishes P1 and Stuckrath in P2 and Nico P3, it'll be dead even between 3 drivers for the championship. So it's a wonderful championship fight so far, and hopefully we will continue to see the championship fight evolve as we go on. But as always, thank you for joining us. Join us next week for the next round of racing, and thank you everyone who participated for a wonderful race.